I was there in the early 90s, I would say 94 to 95. I entered the year 2000. When I was a kid, I would visit my mom and I would do paintings. I remember one of my early paintings, almost very similar to my mixed media. It's like I broke some bottles of Coke or beer. I mixed with paper mache. Then I made this sort of like spiraling sun, very, very heavy. Then I would dabble with painting. I don't even know why. I mean, all I know is that, yeah, this is it. I think this is the interesting thing because I grew up Jewish, okay? So being Jewish, I was always exempt from math and religion class. So I would always end up in the libraries. So when other students were in class, I would just go to the library. So if you're in the library, what are you gonna read? Am I gonna read a book on Philippine history? Am I gonna read a book on like Shakespeare? Of course not. You wanna look at a picture book, right? So the only picture books are art books. I mean, they didn't have comic books. They didn't have travel books 45 years ago. They only had art books. So you look at the paintings. That's the only thing you can look at. So this was before the internet. So there was no YouTube. There's no Google. So of course, we're humans that are visual. So it's all about photos, all about pictures. I took a photo of a homeless person's foot and hand. And that was my first entry into figures. So a lot of people are sleeping on the street. So I take a picture of their hand. There's another guy who's a picture of his foot. So I felt that to create skin tone, you had to use at least 4 colors. You have to use a dark brown, a medium brown, a flesh, white, and black. And more or less you can approximate skin. Of course, if you're classical, there's much, much more, but I'm more of an abbreviated form. It's just as long as your brain receives it as skin, that's good enough for me. So, it doesn't even look like a human being, but you can probably tell it is. So these are the Filipinos. I felt I was getting a bit too depressing because I'm painting reality, and a lot of the people, I try to capture their personality, like a lot of times, they're winking. It's because maybe they really have no eye in real life. So then my next trip, I said, and here this took a lot of detailing. So I'd have to go back and add highlights, add shadows. While here, this is more or less a one-shot thing. It was captured on the first go. It's just like singing in the shower to me. I think that's the most honest type of performance, when you perform for yourself. So I'm just performing for myself. My art is for myself. I mean, I appreciate it when my work, I can say in my heart, is original, about a subject that people are not doing, that I'm creating my own style and language. And I think, to my definition, I've succeeded as far as myself. So what I'm saying to myself is like I'm trying to fill in gaps in Filipino art that don't exist. No, because it's like it's like Picasso said. I mean, it took me 50 years to be able to do this so easy. So for me, it's very easy. So basically, since I do this all the time, it's become second nature. It's like, of course, it's a build-up. Every time I stop, it's like I get rusty. But once I get it, I get it. Well, I always wanted to go big. I always wanted to do big works. So I started with these big ones. I want to do even bigger, and I want to do like gigantic murals. So maybe when we finish our place in the province, maybe there'll be a space and I can slide around my canvas and go crazy and like wrap myself in a wetsuit and just jump and play in the canvas. I'll make myself the brush. Like there's a guy, he's like painting himself with these things. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll invent something like that, but it's all about, having the opportunity. Well, I don't see why not. I mean, as long as the paints are there, the canvas is there, I can't stop. It's like really part of my DNA. I don't force myself. It's just like I had everything I do, I'm addicted to it. So I'm addicted to this. I think every artist has to be somewhat addicted to whatever it is they're doing. I think you learn as much about art and then you create your own. And the only way that you can learn is you have to keep creating, just keep making more and more, make mistakes, make ugly pieces. Then you start to create methods, Then in Benild, there was they allowed me to take courses that were of my interest, like European Union, Spain. They allowed me to do a thesis on Juan Luna. So I molded my own curriculum in a way, based on what was of interest to me. But when you start to make the school after your own image, then it becomes useful to you. So I started molding the school, and I think that's where Benild is. I have to compliment Benild's flexibility. You can somewhat direct your education to where you want to take your interests, which I think is very, very important, especially if you're a creative person.